All right.
Please.
Okay. Great.
Wonderful.
Here we are. Welcome.
Thank you very
Studio
much.
6.
It looks good.
It looks very good. So playing the Resurrection Symphony, you sit over there, and this is where all our sound is resurrected.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. And it's stay alive.
Incredible.
Because, you know, the archive and
Yeah.
all what happened. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it's really cool. We're in the Millennium Falcon here.
Exactly. You know that I was one of the first conductors that were part of the Digital Concert Hall. I was black hair. I was young at that time. You know, now I'm an old conductor.
Well, speaking of getting old, I mean, it's been 3 years since you've been here, at least 3.5.
Yeah, because the pandemic, we had to cancel the tour for the Olympic Games in Japan.
Yeah, that's right.
But yes, it's 3 years and something.
And you still recognize us?
Combined, yeah. It's a relation of, it feels family, to be honest.
Yeah.
When I walk here around, I came here as a student. I came here with the Children Orchestra of Venezuela, still in Abado's time, 2000. And then I came when Simon was here. I was living here at the Philharmoniker in all the rehearsals.
Yeah.
Then I came to conduct, and already, well, it's already 12, no more, because we're 10 years in 2018, so 14 years of a relation with the orchestra.
Amazing.
But to come back after 3 years, of course, seems a long time. But when you have a connection, it feels like immediately everything is there.
In fact, I heard a rumor that you used to, when you were Abado's assistant, you used to sleep somewhere in the building?
With Simon. I was sleeping in one of the balconies here in the right of the hall.
Was it perhaps this one? You can play with this. Look, if you turn this,
it was just this one. This was the place. And the funny thing is that I was taking naps because I didn't have, the chance to go to the residence where I was staying and all of that. I was moving from houses to houses of friends around. And then because was rehearsal finished at 12:30 and then 4:15, so I took some sausage at the canteen. And then I was sitting and sleeping there. When I hear somebody warming up, it was time for rehearsal.
I always find if I haven't been in the Philharmoniker for a while, there's a kind of, smell to the building. That do you get that? You come in and there's something.
But it's all the senses. I think because also, we grew up dreaming with this place. When we saw Von Karajan videos, when we saw Claudio's videos, it was a place where you wanted to achieve, to get there. Yeah. I remember looking for the calendar of the orchestra where you see what is happening, and I was like amazed, I saw, Seiyusawa, Bernard Haitink.
Exactly, it's like a who's who.
Exactly, and I said like, why, my God, maybe one day, but maybe. It was always a maybe until, this is one of the most beautiful relations that I have.
And so coming here with Mahler too now, how does that feel?
Mahler Second is an event. Still is a symphony that you don't play all the time because all the forces that you need is a big orchestration, choir, soloists. It have these difficulties of the spacing and all of that. It was a piece that the orchestra premiered with Mahler, and it's a privilege. I honestly feel that to do this repertoire with this wonderful orchestra is a privilege. Yeah. And after being done, the first symphony last time was the 5th, we did the 3rd. It has been Mahler, in the repertoire that I have been developing with the orchestra in these last 14 years. And it's amazing, it's just like, I think since we started to rehearse, it's a connection there, of understanding, it's a fluidity in the communication.
But Mahler too for me was, I think, probably one of the first symphonies as a teenager that I really fell in love with. And I think there are very few classical musicians who didn't turn up Mahler to 11 in their bedrooms. And it's funny, like, this piece you love as a teenager, and then you grow with it. And then, do you find your relationship to the piece has changed a lot over the years?
Completely. Look, I conducted this symphony, the last movement, the first time when I was 17 years old.
Right.
In Venezuela. I played it when I was 13, 14 years old. And it was always something that we always said, that was like, this is the closest thing to be to heaven, you know, to really, to be close to God, you know, because all of these end, especially the end of the symphony, how he achieved this climax, you know, with the amazing music, with the text, and with all what he builds. With Mahler, music is very specific. Mahler really is one of the composers that he guide the conductor to do the things, because he was a conductor. So do this in 4, do this in 2, please ask the people to do it. You have an amount of information that sometimes limit yourself. But at the same time, it's very interesting the point that he was changing also all the time as a conductor. You know, he changed orchestration, tempis, that give to you the space also to evolve, you know, your interpretation, depending of, you know, when and in the conditions that you are doing.
Well, I've noticed in rehearsals what's really great is you're referring to the different versions all the time, which seems to be giving you clues of all the possibilities.
But completely. And you know, Mahler, I think Bernstein explained that really clear, is a master of duality. The duality in Mahler is, from the very beginning, you have, in a way, 2 tempo primos. You know, and then you have to deal with which tempo primo is he asking, you know, and sometimes the motif, it comes as a different reference, Schnell, you know, or tempo primo sostenuto. So it's always traveling around this creative mind, soul, and it's very important to be open, because it's not a definite truth in Mahler's music. For me, what I want to achieve all the time is to really respect what is there, and how theatrical is this music.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because what I love the way you're doing this week is you're really bringing out the drama of it, which I think is fantastic. You've mentioned in rehearsal that it is kind of like an opera without words.
Yeah, but it's very important, because Mahler, first of all, was an opera conductor. An amazing opera conductor, the best of the time. You know, he was in Vienna, he was in New York, he was, you know, leading the most important opera houses in the planet at that time, let's say. And he knew it. He knew it, all of this repertoire. But he never wrote an opera. But then you see the condition of this music. The offstage music, the text, the way of he orchestrates and approach things is theatrical completely. You know, it's completely theatrical. And for me, that is the key element. Because this music, it cannot be taken as a regular symphonic music. If not, it doesn't make sense.
I mean, also all the offstage stuff has so many different effects. It's like, as you were talking today, it's kind of the imagination or memory. And before the choir first enters, it's almost like it's playing out a battle in heaven or something. It's like using the room to achieve so many different things.
And feelings. You know, you told me just before, when I came to the hall, the smell of all of that. Mahler, with this music, he created all of that. Because you can feel in all your senses the music. You know, and this is unique. This is really unique in the way that he tries to tell an history. I always say, will be wonderful one day, maybe to play the first and the second, because you finish in D major,
Yeah.
Dominant of G and G, C minor. It's a line there.
Yeah.
So the first one is also very theatrical without text. But then this was not a success. It was a terrible thing for Mahler, the premiere of the first. But then he comes with this new language of telling an history in a, I will say there is many Wagner things inside of this music.
Well, the very beginning, this tremolo
Completely.
storm. Is,
all of that, and Rheingold and all of these kind of things. And then how you can avoid that theatrical drama? How you take this as a technical musical thing if it's, it goes to a spiritual, intellectual level.
And so how old was he when he wrote? He was in his early 30s?
Early
or?
30s, exactly.
Yeah.
Because he premiered the first one, he was 28. He was trying to succeed like crazy at that time. And he played for von Bülow.
Yeah, right. And
I think the first movement.
Bülow wasn't so.
He said that this is very bad music.
Yeah.
But the crazy things. Von Bülow died, and then Mahler goes to the funeral, and then he found the key to finish the symphony. Strange, it's kind of these kind of magical things that you think about the destiny. He was very young still, and the success was huge. It was huge.
Still very young, but in a way, I mean, he must have always been obsessed with death. And, at such a young age to write such an ambitious work about resurrection and death and heaven. And
I don't know. It's always a question. Even it's a metaphysical question, but it's a philosophical question too. When we talk about death, and at that time, we have to remember it was Nietzsche. It was all of this movement, artistical movement. It was the death of an era, of a time, and the beginning of a new one.
Yeah.
The post-romanticism, the modern world, the world of all of these amazing thinkers, and that created this new era of our modern history. And yes, it was an obsession, but I think it was part of his at the beginning. It was part of his vision.
Yeah.
Death, drama. I think maybe more than thinking in death as, I'm gonna die, I want to find an answer there. It was a dramatic way to make an history,
Yeah.
Then it comes the crazy thing, because so much of that then, after the fifth and all of that, his daughter died, he gets sick, he wrote the tragic symphony, and it was so, then it became really something like, but at the beginning it was like kind of obsession, but I also think a lot it was a way for him to, he was very young, but I think we always think about death in something very abstract, we are afraid for that, what is there, and he finds answers in this symphony. He finds the most amazing answer that we can have with art, that we don't see, but we feel. When we arrive to the end, we really believe.
Yeah, it's the most convincing argument for an afterlife I've ever heard.
You really believe that this is what is after.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Thank
my dear. Thank you.